In the lead up to tonight's clown show, several GOP congressional leaders mounted a pre-buttal earlier today. Among the questions, just how responsible is this clown show leader, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, for what happened at the Capitol on January 6th?
Speaker Pelosi doesn't want to answer those questions because she knows that the answers to those questions leave a trail of breadcrumbs right back to her office, underscoring her negligence, her lack of leadership as the Speaker of the House.
Well, that was Republican Indiana Congressman Jim Banks, whom Pelosi cut from the House Select Committee. He joins us now. He's also a member of the House Armed Services Committee. Congressman, thank you for joining us. That was impressive. Leader McCarthy first, then you. Please tell us what went down as far as McCarthy trying to get you on that committee and Pelosi pushing back. Why and how'd that go down?
Well, Eric, this is the first time in the 232-year history of the United States Congress that this has happened, that the appointments of the minority leader were rejected by the Speaker of the House to serve on a select committee. It's never happened before, but it happened this time because Nancy Pelosi knows that Jim Jordan and I were going to ask the tough questions that would change the narrative away from what Pelosi wanted this committee to be all about, which is a witch hunt to go after Donald Trump, to deny his name to ever appear on the ballot again, to go after Trump's staff and Trump supporters, Trump voters. That's what this is all about. That's what the theater all is going to be all about tonight. It's not going to be about security at the Capitol or doing what we can to study and investigate what happened on January 6th to make sure that something like that never happens again. It's all about politics.
Congressman, did Pelosi give you a reason for rejecting McCarthy and yourself?
You know, she never did. And the hilarious part about it is that the media has never forced her to answer that question. Nancy Pelosi, why did you reject Jim Banks to be the ranking member as appointed by Kevin McCarthy, the minority leader? Nobody's ever forced her to explain and answer that question. But Eric, I can answer the question for you. It's because she knew that I was going to ask the tough questions. I was going to force the committee to look at important issues like, was Nancy Pelosi in the room when they called off the National Guard on January 6th? Was she a part of that decision? Why was the Capitol Police half-staffed because of COVID on January 6th? There are so many serious questions that you will not hear on live TV in prime time tonight, because those questions lead to answers that would quickly change the narrative that the Democrats don't want to hear.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's a hearing. They're supposed to hear both sides in a hearing, and to take, you know, Kinzinger and Liz Cheney and one other who are clearly anti-Trumpers as the only representation of the other view. That is just absolute mind-boggling BS. Congress, tonight, Cassidy Hutchinson, she is a senior aide to Mark Meadows. She was a senior aide to Mark Meadows. She had been cooperating with the January 6th committee. And, you know, noteworthy, I believe either today or yesterday, or very recently, she switched counsels. She switched lawyers from someone who had been kind of seen as a pro-Trump named Stefan Passatino to Jody Hunt, who is someone who represented Jeff Sessions in his dust-up with Trump. So is this indication that Cassidy Hutchinson, is going to be more cooperative with the committee?
You know, it's hard to say, but we've heard so many stories like this. I mean, so many innocent people who were working for President Trump, who supported President Trump, who were just around him, who had been subpoenaed, they've been attacked, they've been threatened, they've been coerced to cooperate with this committee. But at the end of the day, they were threatened to do so. So at the end of the day, a lot of people are spending a lot of money on lawyers' bills who didn't do anything wrong. They just worked for President Trump, or people who just happened to be there that day exercising their constitutional right to speak out and protest in the nation's capital. So it's hard to say. To your earlier point, this is the first time it's ever happened before. You don't have the minority point of view in the room to ask questions that would reflect a different point of view. And because of that, I can't answer questions about what we're going to hear tonight. I can tell you what we're not going to hear about tonight. We're not going to hear about my constituents, family, and friends paying $5.25 for a gallon of gas in Columbia City, Indiana, in my district. You're not going to hear about inflation making it harder to make ends meet, because the Democrats, this is the playbook.
I want to get this in. I only have about 30 seconds or so. I only have about 30 seconds or so, Congressman. I have to ask this. Ryan Kelly, who's running for governor, GOP ticket for governor in Michigan, was arrested today by the FBI. It feels like that was a more of the theater, a lead up, almost like a tease to what's coming tonight in prime time. What are your thoughts on this arrest and the timing of it?
Well, we've seen all along the Biden Department of Justice it's one-sided justice, one set of rules for anyone named Biden or Clinton, anyone who's on that side of the aisle versus a different set of rules for everybody else. So I can't speak or comment on that too much, other than there's a lot of theater involved in this, and the American people are sick and tired of it.
Congressman Jim Banks, thank you for joining us. I really, really wish you and Jim Jordan were on that committee to ask the tough question. Give us another point of view. It's just going to be a ridiculous clown show tonight. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.